Dane, is so great to have you on my podcast. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I want you to start off by telling your story because you've had quite the healing journey.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a funny story of the worst thing ever happening to me. I'm considering the best thing that ever happened to me now. And it's a story of self-belief, really, and an irony. For me, I had major gut health issues. I was diagnosed with originally something called ulcerative colitis. Then I was diagnosed with something called Crohn's disease. And then the doctors didn't know what it was from there. Crohn's, colitis, ulcerative colitis with gastritis, and everyone had an opinion. So I just started calling it Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. Now I was living in Los Angeles and New York and Miami, and I was working in Europe, and it just had this major irony where I just felt like my life was being taken from me. I and it was very hard. We went through all the conventional medicine, and the doctors just eventually just said, "You're going to be on these drugs for quote unquote the foreseeable future." And the next step is surgery, where we're going to cut out your colon and we're going to give you a J pouch, which is to build you a new colon after a year of having a bag attached to your stomach where your bowel movements will go through that bag. You will no longer, sit on a pod. You'll just go through that bag, and then maybe one day, if you're lucky, we'll have a reverse surgery to create you a new colon so you can actually use a restroom like a normal person. I was 24 when they proposed this. So, no one in my family had been sick. We were all healthy people. And that to me was unacceptable. And I thank God that I'm such a stubborn person, and I never took authority too seriously. It got me in a lot of trouble, but school, doctors, people trying to tell me what life is and what reality is, I always kind of just rolled my eyes a little bit. I had a little bit of an ego about it, but I think that allowed me to have the courage to start saying, "Doctor, let me see what I can do." And who was I? And this is a big point I want to make to anyone out there who's struggling with health and hearing something that they believe deep down might be false. Is how is it that a 24-year-old kid with a personal training degree could get results healing himself naturally that conventional medicine said wasn't possible? And that was something that I dared to try. I dared to say and think and believe that my doctor didn't truly know what I was capable of doing. Through that pain, I started to believe in myself, and I started reading insatiably about natural medicine. I went back to school for natural medicine, getting a holistic nutrition degree, and I started allowing myself to be my own best doctor. Emotionally, I was suffering. I was isolating myself. I was starting to feel like a sick person. One thing I work on with my clients is once we get their symptoms down, I try to build a regimen that helps them purge trauma of being a disabled person, being someone who cannot eat, cannot go out, cannot ever have any energy, chronic fatigue. And that does something to your psyche as a human being, that you are no longer strong, you are weak, and you are disabled, and you can't do like everyone else. And then eventually it feels like you don't deserve to live like everyone else. Maybe you don't deserve love. Maybe you don't deserve the career or success. And for me, I had such a strong spirit when I started this, because no one found me in a mall to make me a model. No one, put me in the gym 2 hours a day, 6 days a week. The first time I tried most things in life, I was told no. First time I tried out for a basketball team, they said, "Nope, you're not good enough." First time I tried modeling, they said, "Nope, you're not good enough." First time I started exercising as a personal trainer, "Nope, you're not strong enough." It was always, I had a lot of barriers that were not given to me. I was not one of those cases, people, where I just walked down the street and someone said, "You're amazing. We're going to make you a star." Like, that was not it for me. I have hustled. I have earned everything I have in my life. Nothing has been given to me, and it has made me extremely strong. And I'm so grateful for that, because when Crohn's came my way, which has been my biggest battle yet, I had the will. I had enough of that to believe that I was meant to be a strong person. I was a strong person, and so I was old enough where I just had become enough of a man where I could really just drive home what I knew to be true. So emotionally, it was killing and it was disabling me, but I used things like exercise and trying to say, okay, this is what weights I could lift before I got sick. I'm not healthy until I can lift the same. So it was like 3 years later that I got my bench press up to 315 pounds after nearly dying. So I gained 60 pounds and I got strong again. And it was ego, but it was also, I knew I needed to see that my body could get as strong as it used to be. And so I did things like that. I started running and started running 4 or 5 miles straight. I started traveling. Been all over to Europe and Asia and stuff like that. I've eaten every terrible food you can imagine since I've been healed. I've had large Papa John's pizzas to myself. I've had 12 packs of beer to myself. I've eaten massive amounts of candy, anything. Not because it's good for me, but I believe that there's a certain time and place to start purging the idea that you can't do something and replace it with you don't want to do something.
So tell everybody more about what actually did work for you. What did you do, and what are you now helping others do to help along the same path of healing?
So when I healed, when I got to the point, the word heal and cure, those are just tough words. Everyone wants to put them in boxes. I don't even believe in the word cure. I think it's a false fear word that has no value. But when I got to where I was, and I said, how did I go from completely disabled on these drugs with this sentence from every white coat in Southern California saying that I had to get surgery or be on these drugs to I'm on no drugs and I'm feeling great and I'm got my career back and I'm looking, I feel good, I look good, I'm running and working out and I'm traveling. It wasn't perfect, but how did I get here? Because that was something real. Perfection is a perception, right? And I I realized that it was a lot of things, and it wasn't just one thing, it was everything combined. See, I didn't work for a year. I was getting paid in the currency of health. My day to day was to figure out how to get myself healthy, and I realized there were different aspects of that: mental, spiritual, physical, and there were many things I did. So what I realized is I said, okay, diet matters, and what I ate, and there were layers to the diet. But what that mattered, but it wasn't everything. It didn't just heal. Didn't get me where I was. Supplements mattered, but it wasn't everything. Herbs mattered. It wasn't everything. My mindset changed. My perception of the investment in my life, my understanding of energy changed everything. My imagination of who I wanted to be and why I was doing this, why, about my career and my life and my family and my future. And my exercise, changing from exercising for fitness to exercising for health, I I got a change there. And then my lifestyle I realized was big, learning how to be organized and clean and identify positive and negative energy. I realized that it was all these things that really helped me. It wasn't just one. So I realized that I was actually doing all of those things and I was stacking them like compound interest on every day. And it was all of them combined into a daily consistent protocol that was simplified in a regimen that actually freed up my time, that actually empowered me, that I now believe not only just in my health, but my ability to build a business, my ability to build a relationship, my ability to manifest in this life. I believe I found the key, or I had finally experienced manifestation. And it's really just an abundance of energy. And energy, and the purpose of this conversation is anything that makes you feel. So so I was sitting there in my room and I was thinking, what do I want to do? I don't want to put people in boxes. I don't want to say it has to be a vegan diet. It has to be a paleo diet. It has to be low FODMAP. It has to be SED. It has to be these supplements. It has to be this energy. I wanted to empower people to make it for them. And I didn't want to get in that stupid argument of, this is the best diet and that's the best and this doesn't work and that doesn't work. It just brings us farther apart, and we needed something that brings us together. So I called it Shield. And for me, I asked myself, what was I doing? I was building my defense. I wasn't curing myself. I wasn't finding the perfect answer for everybody. I was finding my answer, what worked for me, what allowed me to manifest great energy. And it was my shield in life against Crohn's, because I always imagined I was boxing Crohn's, and it was just knocking me out every day. But I just learned how to duck, and that was lifestyle. And I learned how to move my feet. And that was my imagination and my herbs, and I learned how to throw a right hook, and that was the supplements and diet. And so I called it SHIELD, was building my shield, and that was an acronym for supplements, herbs, imagination, exercise, lifestyle, and diet. So what I help people do is I help them build their own personalized shield program. And why I love it, and I think it's really the seed of what I'm going to share in this world, is I'm not trying to be the answer for people. I'm allowing people to be their own answer, but I'm being a consultant, a catalyst for them to simplify the energy and momentum and the ideas out there and how they can apply it to their personal life. So, I talk about food philosophy. I don't talk about diet. I talk about what supplements could be and why, and I try to educate them on supplements and not just tell them you have to take this product. I tell them this is the benefit and this is the negative, where it's obvious we think you should take it. You have to rebuild your microbiome, for instance, in herbs, and then imagination, what drives you? Who do you want to be? And the funny thing is once my clients start getting results, it's almost like a running river. All I got to do is sit back and smile and nod because they now have felt the power of self-empowerment. They're looking better. Their skin looks better. Their energy's up. They're making more clear and concise decisions about school or relationships or career. They're becoming excited about life. They're getting on the phone and telling me everything that's good. And I'm going, uh-huh. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like I did it. It was just I was a catalyst to empower them and do a little bit of hand holding until they were able to walk and run and sprint. And some of them are getting healthier than me. I'm like, okay, you got it down. And so it's really empowering people. And it's funny because I'm now in the process of publishing my online program with coaches. And the coaches, and this is what I'm so excited about, the coaches who are going to be working with people as I've been working with people are all people who came to me who were suffering, who were stuck, who were on chronic drug use. They're now been without symptoms and hit all of their goals for at least 6, 8 months, some of them over a year. And those are going to be the people who are now helping other people do the same. So the coaches you'll be working with are people who have Crohn's disease, have ulcerative colitis, have been in the dark space, and have gotten great results. I mean, to me, that relatability is so important. The biggest thing I offer to people is really relatability. I've been there. I know what they're going through. And that's something the doctors can't do. And that's why I think doctors and coaches should combine their forces. And secondly is I'm helping people take the worst thing that ever happened to them and now create a second career where they can work for themselves. They can make as much money as they want. They can do something of high impact. They can continue to learn and invest and get paid to make themselves healthier. Like their job is to make themselves as healthy as possible and then blog about it and write about it and coach about it and make a career out of this. So it's really my idea is how, usually in life you can take the worst thing that ever happened to you and you can make it one of the best things, because pain is a teacher and pain is the root cause of purpose. No one had great purpose without great pain. Think of Nelson Mandela. Think of Martin Luther King. Think of, anybody who's done something great usually stemmed from great pain. So great pain is the law of relativity, can come great purpose.
So you mentioned you're a nonprofit. Tell everybody about that.
So my nonprofit is a little bit of a golden egg for me. It's been something we've been doing and manifesting for the last 4 years, but it is the first wave of funding natural medicine, funding uninsurable healthcare costs. So anyone out there who's using supplementation, organic foods, they're going to an acupuncturist or a lot of natural medicine doctors are realizing that it's not covered by health insurance, and it's a huge expense. And the average American does not have enough money to invest in this type of needed healthcare. So there's a big, big problem. Only the wealthy and the people with disposable income can utilize this type of medicine, and it's getting more and more expensive because the best practitioners simply do not have the time to work one-on-one with someone. It's not cost effective. Guys, if you're out there, if you're looking for a private one-on-one doctor or coach, know that it is not the best business model for them and their time and their ability to be able to make an impact on the world. So it needs to be expensive for the right doctor, the person who really knows what they're doing. We created a system where we are using a crowdfunding source or business model to help people raise money for uninsurable healthcare costs, and we can match dollar for dollar the money that is raised up to $2,500. So if you're out there and you don't have or need that financial support, you can apply for our program, which shows you how to crowdfund. We match dollar to dollar, and then send it to you in a debit card so that you can go to your practitioner and have the funds and more support that you need to make this happen.
That's great. So how do people find that? What's the website on that?
So the name of the nonprofit is eFund Your Health. It's the letter E, Fund Your Health.
So, and tell everybody else how they, and tell people how you work. Do you work one-on-one with people? Do you work with groups? Like, how does that work now?
Right now, I work one-on-one with people, so I have an application process because I need to make sure that I really feel that some certain things are connecting between me and the potential client. So they can apply for, I call a strategy session, where we talk for 30 minutes about what you've gone through, where you've been, what your goals are, your experiences, and then we both decide if we feel we're a good fit. If we do, then we can move forward. And usually it's around 3 to 5 months. I have some, package program. I have some clients I've been working with for a year and a half, 2 years. So it's right now private consulting. I'm working on uh, getting our Shield Online program out, which is more scalable. And that's going to have what's called Crohn's Colitis University. And it is a private network of people with Crohn's or colitis who can work together to help create their shields with coaches and supporters and weekly and monthly calls with me and doctors and people who can start talking to the masses in groups and really come together as a team and say, let's stop bickering about what diet you're doing and what supplements you're using and if you're doing, this type of therapy or not therapy. Everyone out here, your job is to build your shield. You're the CEO of your health. Let's cherry pick from each other and find our personal solutions. So I'm excited. That will be launching, I hope, guys. I hope December 1st. If you're interested in this, you're saying someone needs this, the best thing you can do right now is go to my website, crohnscolitislifestyle.com, and just subscribe to the email list. That's where I'll be keeping people updated.
Okay, awesome. Dane, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing all your journey and all the information. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Keep going strong, everybody.